Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news on the final day of the season. It's not really the last dance I expected on the first day of the season. The last dance, it's almost the last chance to salvage something in this turd of a season for Manchester United. I mean, I just tweeted it out there and, you know, I think many people would agree with what I just tweeted out, that ultimately it really is about Liverpool not winning the title and Manchester United getting Europa League football. That is how, well, I'm not going to say low the standards are. We know how low the standards are. They've been here for 9 years, but yeah, hopefully we're at the bottom of the barrel, because it's definitely embarrassing to be in a situation like this where we're hoping West Ham don't win at Brighton so that we can get Thursday night Europa League football instead of what I'm going to christen as Circus League, the Conference League. There's a better name than that. I'll come up with it if we're in it, but yeah, it's embarrassing. But look, lots to get through this morning. Ralph Rangnick with another round of comments, excuse comments. I mean, he mentions Ronaldo as well. Of course they're excuses. As a manager, he's got to provide excuses for what has not been a successful period for him as an interim. But let's not forget the damage was done by Solskjaer before that. So we'll talk about that. Erik ten Hag sending some strong messages to Manchester United's board and the players. Big things he wants to do in relation to players coming back early. He's going to be in Manchester tomorrow. We'll get his first press conference tomorrow or Tuesday. Can't wait for that. But strong messages. His message from Erik ten Hag is this: I should be on holiday. I could be on holiday. I literally finished with Ajax a week ago. I could start this job in late June. I'm starting it in mid-May. So are you. And he's saying that to the players. He's saying that to the club. Get to bloody work and get some work done. So lots for us to get through this morning. I'm going to speak to you about Timber just very, very quickly. Obviously, we've been quite well briefed on what's happening with Timber for the last couple of weeks. And I'm not calling it out. Everybody's got, you know, likes and retweets to play for. And I think we all know that's how it works in a summer transfer window. There will be accounts you've never heard of who suddenly are saying things like, give me 1,000 likes and I'll give you some info from an agent. I mean, I've never heard such crap in all my life. But look, the reality is I think it's important. It's very important. And what we try to do, and we won't be able to do it all the time, what we try to do on this community is get the truth. Whether we like it or not, is get the truth. And it's very hard to get the truth sometimes, but it's very easy to not give the truth and lie. I could go live this morning and say, this week I expect us to sign Erik ten Hag. And then when we don't sign him, I could say it's going to be next week or something changed. That's how these things grow, and that's how these people feed you nonsense. In relation to Timber, I've heard some stuff this morning that his representatives are in England to thrash out a deal. The information I've got, and it's good information, is that is not the case. As I said last night, I'm still 80% sure we will sign Timber. Some people close to that individual and Ajax would be flabbergasted by that. They would say, why are you so confident? I don't know why you're so confident about this deal. It's nowhere near being done and we might not want to do it. I personally think that's probably just respect. There has to be respect for Ajax, 100%. But I do think that Manchester United, Ajax just have to agree a deal. I think Timber would love to come to Manchester United. I don't think that's in doubt, and that's why I'm 80% sure. I think also the reason I'm 80% sure is, and I want to be respectful to Ajax here, is that you might not want to sell Timber, but like Frankie de Jong, Erik ten Hag really wants Timber. So Man United have to deliver Ten Hag what he wants. Now, maybe he won't get Timber, but he definitely wants him. He's the priority centre-back, and I expect Manchester United to be able to deliver that type of a signing. It's an Ajax centre-back. He's managed him before. You should be able to deliver that. You should be able to negotiate with Ajax, and I think that we will. But I don't believe for 1 minute that Timber's agents and representatives are in the UK talking about a deal, because that isn't Ajax representatives. And also, I think it's very well known that Ajax, Timber, and I think his brother, who is agent, are actually in the Caribbean at the moment. So yes, you can do a Skype call, but the story is that they're in England. Well, they're not in England, so the story's inaccurate. But there has to be a level of patience with these deals, whether it's de Jong, whether it's Timber, whether it's Nunez. There has to be a level of patience. I think that maybe we're being a little bit overexcited as a fan base. We want to see change. We do want to see change. We are seeing change. But we're not suddenly going to go from 6 weeks to do a deal to 6 hours or even 6 days. And remember, the transfer window doesn't really open until the early June. We're still around the middle of May. So I would just say a little bit of patience is needed. But I still would say to you, I still think that the two most likely signings for United at the moment, based on what we are doing as a club, are Timber and De Jong. That can change. Welcome to the Members Club, Josh Wilkinson. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. That's the latest on the transfer. We're not imminently about to sign Timber, and I don't think. Well, look, things can change very quickly, but as of right here, right now, this story that they're in England thrashing out a deal, it's not true. Who are they thrashing a deal out with anyway, by the way? Manchester United and all their representatives are down in London for the Crystal Palace game with Erik ten Hag. So, maybe tomorrow, maybe a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, look, let's fly into it. This is important. Manchester United will unveil Erik ten Hag as their new manager in the next 48 hours, and he will travel up to Manchester for an official welcome at Old Trafford either on Monday or Tuesday, which I've mentioned. The recruitment of... this next bit is what I wanted to read you. Ten Hag wants to model Man United's playing style on Ajax and has handed United a wish list of players who he believes will freshen the squad. Priority is to bring more energy to a group who couldn't handle the high-tempo pressing style Rangnick wanted to employ. And we'll talk about some of Rangnick comments in a minute, but this is really important. In fact, I will just move on from that just to give you something else as well. Where was it? Yeah, this as well. I'll put this up this is from the Telegraph. This is from James Ducker. Erik ten Hag has ordered the first wave of Manchester United's squad to return for pre-season on June the 27th. He's determined to maximise his time on the training ground this summer. And also, as well from James Ducker, Erik ten Hag is keen for Manchester United to do their transfer business as quickly as possible to allow for time recruits to bed in. I mean, that's a little bit of slow sports news there from James, because we spoke about this on the United Stand a week ago. Transfer deadline was the thumbnail. You can go back and check it. So it's nice when the information that you have gets verified, because obviously some of the information we talk about is source based, and we did do a video about a week ago. I can't remember what specifically day it was, but I remember the thumbnail was transfer deadline, and it was a deadline that Erik ten Hag and the board had agreed that they want to get their business done by the end of June. Now, there will be business that they don't get done, but that has been put in. So it's always nice when, somebody who's close to the club, like James Ducker, comes out and says what we were told. So that's good. It's like the Ronaldo thing yesterday morning. We said Ronaldo was out. Nobody said anything until 2 o'clock, and then Laurie Whitwell and The Athletic confirmed it. So it's good that the information that we're getting is accurate, and it's positive information around the transfer deadline. Erik ten Hag has sent a strong message to Manchester United's board, and he sent that message in his interview. He wants certain players to play a certain style of play, and he believes he can deliver a certain style of success at Manchester United, built on the foundations of exciting, energetic football, modern football, and winning, and that will lead to trophies. That is his plan, but he's very firm about how to do that. And in his interview and in his conversations with Manchester United, he's made it very, very clear that if he doesn't get the full backing and he isn't allowed to make the decisions he needs to make, he can never be successful. And references were made to previous managers and how they, publicly, have come out and said that they didn't get what they wanted. Van Gaal, Mourinho. And Ten Hag was very eager to say, look, if I'm having this job, I need it in writing that I will get the backing to do this with coaching, with development, with signings, with recruitment, with removal. And this is all part of that. Erik ten Hag is the boss. He's the boss. He's the man that over the next 2 years will take the plaudits if we're successful, but will also take the criticism if he fails. That is the job. And that is why he's been absolutely meticulous in his plan for Manchester United. Not only now he's actually in the job, but when he was doing his interview. And this is why he's in London for the last week, and this is why he's in Manchester tomorrow in the middle of May, building Manchester United out, looking at the transfer targets. Now, we're going to talk about what Rangnick said in a minute, but effectively, Erik ten Hag has... hi, Mark, what's your ideal 5-man list of signings? I'll talk about that in a minute, Ali, if you remind me. And I'm so happy as fans are coming around, Mark, and having the common sense we need to rebuild, but unfortunately, people close need to go, says Stephen. But yeah, okay. But yeah, I think that with what we've got with Erik ten Hag is a manager that's going to play a very distinct style of football. Rangnick has been on about this for weeks. He mentioned it again. I'll talk about it in a minute. He references how it's very obvious how we're going to play football under Erik ten Hag. Now, Rangnick has definitely failed in the way that he wants to play football. And we'll go into some of his comments on that in a minute, because he mentions Cristiano Ronaldo, which I think some people have taken the wrong way. He said as well, it's very obvious how Erik ten Hag is going to play football, because if you look at his Ajax side, you look at his Bayern Munich under-23 side, he plays in a certain way. And to do that, he's going to need a certain player. And that is what this next few weeks of the transfer window is about. I'll be stunned if we give Matic a 3-year deal. We're not going to give Matic a 3-year deal. I'll be stunned if his midfield consists of McTominay and Fred, because they just cannot do the intelligent football that Ajax do with their midfield too. Basically dictating the press, getting on the ball, running the game, feeding the defence, feeding the attack. There's going to be a massive wholesale change to that midfield, and it's very, very exciting. But Erik ten Hag needs to move on that, and he needs to move on that really, really quickly. So when you get comments about the first wave of players being back on June the 27th, what does that mean? Well, obviously there's going to be some players. I mean, I don't know. I'm quite disappointed with this, actually. It doesn't really help us, but I know you always get internationals at the end of the season. So we've got the Champions League a week last night, and that's normally the end of the season unless you've got a major tournament. I think England are playing 4 fucking games. I'm sorry to swear, but like, the whole point of the World Cup being at Christmas was that we have a summer free. Most of these footballers have been playing ridiculous amounts of football for the last 2 years because of COVID, and it all got compressed. We've now got a lot of people, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's the England players, playing 4 international games until like the middle of June. And then we're back in training at the start of July. And this is what Ten Hag means about the 27th of June. He cannot bring Ronaldo back. He cannot bring Bruno back on the 27th of June. He can't bring whoever's in the England squad back on the 27th of June, because they'll literally have had probably a week and a half off after those internationals. So what he will do is he'll be working from June the 27th with players like who are not in the England squad. So I don't know who's not internationals. So of which, actually, amazingly, in the United, well, David De Gea is not an international, so he'll be back, and Wan-Bissaka, I suppose. Well, I'm not naming them all, but you know what I mean. And then I would imagine sort of like 5th, 6th of July, you'll start to get everybody else back. So yeah, he's going to get some people back early, but some people are going to get 3 or 4 weeks off. If you're not an international, you're having 3 or 4 weeks off. And that's a massive advantage. So that's what he means. He wants the players back in early. He wants the board working early as well. Ten Hag looks like a proper arse, and I love it, says Ozymandias. You know what? Part of me, in his interview tomorrow or Tuesday, I actually want him to come across as a bit of an arsehole. I do. I think we're so used to, look, Rangnick's an open book. He's like a lecturer. He tells you everything. Ollie was just a big smile on his face. Mourinho was probably the sort of manager that you wanted, really. And with Erik ten Hag, I don't want him to please the media. I don't want him to be on first name terms with journalists. I don't want that. We don't need that. We've had that. What we need is, we need somebody who's the manager of this team. I want sort of a Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola thing. They have a good relationship with the media, but there is a line and you do not cross it. Do not WhatsApp me. You know, that's what we need with this manager. We need some respect, and he needs to just lead, and that's what he needs to do. And I think that Manchester United can do that. Just quickly before I want to talk about Ralph Rangnick's comments as well, just another comment from James Ducker in the Telegraph, saying that the recruitment of forwards and midfielders is being prioritised for Ten Hag. Also wants a quality centre-back and a right-back, with the club open to offers for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I mean, that is not breaking news. That's not breaking news at all. But what it is an indication of where we're looking at. We know we're looking for midfielders. We know we're looking for attackers. We know we're looking for a centre-back. But the right-back thing is becoming more of a theme. And I mentioned this a couple of days ago, that Manchester United are highly likely to buy a fullback now. Unless Wan-Bissaka turns it around, I really think we're going to end up buying a fullback. And I think what I would say is, if we can get a centre-back, 2 midfielders, an attacker and a right-back, that is a really good summer for us, because my feeling was that we were going to end up with a centre-back, a couple of midfielders and a forward. If you can get a right-back in as well, that right-back that might have been coming in the summer comes in next summer, comes in this summer, and you're closer to your journey, aren't you? You're closer to your journey. It's like sometimes at Christmas, I don't know whether people do this, but when I was a kid, this used to happen. from Christmas Eve until Boxing Day, it was never just, let's just watch films and open presents and eat chocolate. It was like, you've got to go to this grandparent, this aunt, this friend, this. And on Christmas Eve, you're like, oh, how many can we get in? Well, let's go and see 4 relatives, then we can do 4 on Christmas Day and 4 on Boxing Day. And sometimes we get, we go around someone's house and it'd be boring, they clearly have an argument, and we'd end up getting 5 or 6 done on Christmas Eve, which meant on Christmas Day you've only got to visit 2 people. And if you get 4 done, you've got Boxing Day to yourselves. That's a little bit like what Manchester United can do. My anticipation was that Christmas Eve we were just going to get a forward, 2 midfielders and a centre-back. But if we can get a right-back as well, that frees us up to do other things on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, which is summer transfer window 2 and 3. Is there any news of dressing room leaks today, says Salah Ahmed? There's loads of stuff, mate, which I don't really want to go into. I mean, I could go through some of the comments, but ultimately, there's a lot of things, actually, that have come out this morning about... So Ralph Rangnick, apparently, when he first came into the club, spoke to players about, issues. One player told, and this is direct quotes from newspapers this morning, so I'm not making this up. They might be, but one of the players said to Rangnick, it would be good if you gave us the team news at the start of the week, so we could work on it towards the weekend. And then another player said, don't do that. Training should just be fun. And this is the problem. If you sit down with players and ask them what they want, and you don't do it, they're not going to respect you. It's such a hard thing to manage, because if you sit down with 11 Man United players and say, what would you do differently? 4 or 5 of them are going to say completely different things. And then if you do something different to that, you upset all of them. Too many cooks spoil the broth. And the reality is there can only be one chef at Manchester United. And I think Erik ten Hag needs to be very careful about who he listens to and who he takes on board. I wouldn't take anybody into my inner circle. I think Ollie had favourites, Mourinho had favourites, maybe Rangnick's had favourites, and it's done none of them favours. Who were Rangnick's favourites? Maguire, McTominay, Bruno. They were definitely favourites of Rangnick, and I just don't think it works. It breeds resentment. There was another story this morning about how the Man United squad felt that a player within the first team dressing room had leaked information about Harry Maguire. And the players felt they knew who it was, which was ridiculous because they've had a season as bad as Harry Maguire. So all this mistrust and leaking has to stop. But going back to that story about how a player had said to Rangnick, you should tell us the team news during the week so we can work on it all week. Oh yeah, that'd be a bloody great idea, wouldn't it? So instead of getting the team news leaked 4 or 5 hours before kick-off, we get it leaked 4 or 5 days before. You cannot tell that Man United squad who's playing on Saturday on a Tuesday, because on a Tuesday afternoon, that'll be all over Twitter. So, it's all idealistic. Oh yeah, let's know what the team is so we can work on it all week. But you need to sort your bloody leaks out first. 5th anniversary of the arena attacks today. Always a sombre day for Manchester. Thoughts with those who lost someone on that awful day, says Joshua. Yeah, I was going to mention that, Joshua, because Manchester United are going to have a B on their away kit today to remember those who lost their lives in that Manchester arena bombing 5 years ago. I can't believe 5 years have gone so fast. Time does fly, and and it's a not, you'd expect it of Manchester United anyway, but it's a nice touch, and obviously it's well, there's no words to describe something like that when people go to a concert and children and they don't come home because of things like that. That Christmas trilogy analogy is gold. You are a lecturer, Mark, says Peter. Thank you very much. Morning, Mark. Really looking forward to this window ahead and to see how United are going to act in whether it will be proactive and efficient, says Therese. And Paul, thank you very much for the super chat there. Thanks to the members as well. I can see we've got quite a few members in the chat there with their badges. If you want to join, I've dropped the link at the top of the chat, or you can just click the join button. Don't forget to check out your exclusive content. There's a few B's in the chat, which is always nice to see. Asan, thank you very much, and Freakin, thank you very much. But if you want to join the members club, don't forget to check out the exclusive new members content we've got for you, and you get your little badge next to your name as well. Right, let's talk about some of the things that Ralph Rangnick said as well, because I think this is the one that's probably causing people the most issue. A couple of big comments here from Ralph Rangnick that have come out overnight. So the first one is that also remember, we are doing a watch along tonight. We'll be live this afternoon. Everybody's kicking off at 4 o'clock. We will have an eye on Man City's game because we need them to win. We don't want Liverpool to win. I'll also have an eye on relegation and top four and Man United and West Ham. So we've got a big stream for you this afternoon. It's the last day of the Premier League. Everyone kicks off at 4 o'clock. It's going to be a bit hectic and all over the place, but we'll keep you updated, and obviously we'll have the ongoing community chat while it's all going on. I think it's going to be, well, I can't, to be honest, I can't wait till 6 o'clock. I just want to see Man City with the title and United in the Europa League. And I know that's really embarrassing how low the standards are, but if we can get to that, the summer can start. So, Rangnick said, Cristiano scored a few goals. I'm not blaming him at all. He did great in those games, but he's not a pressing monster. He's not a player, even when he was a young player, who was crying, shouting, hooray, the other team has got the ball. Where can we win balls? Now, this goes back to Ronaldo's the problem crap back in autumn. Remember how a certain section of the media and a certain section of our fan base became obsessed with pressing. Ronaldo doesn't press. Ronaldo doesn't press. And you're like, where have you been for the last 20 years? Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are the two greatest players of the last 20 years, and they are two of the greatest players that's ever played football. They don't press. And suddenly everybody became an expert in pressing. You've got to press. Oh, you've got to press. Oh, he's no good because he doesn't press. I mean, they are the two greatest players of my lifetime. Neither of them press. And I've been very pro Rangnick, but I will also call out nonsense. That is nonsense. I mean, I don't even know what he's on about. Like, it's not Ronaldo's fault. He's been a good player for us and he's played great in those games, but he doesn't press. Well, you know, you didn't come to... It wasn't a Christmas present, Ralph. You weren't, you know, flown into Manchester with... Well, you didn't even know it was Manchester in a blindfold and la, 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 ta-da! You're managing Manchester United for 6 months and you've got Ronaldo. Oh, no, he doesn't press. I was hoping we'd have Haller up front. I mean, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. And actually, his 2 hat-tricks have got you 6 points you wouldn't have had. So you can argue about pressing in the way that you want to play, but you were never going to get that team to press. And Rizzy, thank you very much for becoming a member. What is the biggest issue at United right now, Mark? Says Alexander. I mean, there's loads, but mainly it's the players. But I think that in a way Rangnick is defending him, but also I think it just... I like Rangnick. I don't think he's having a pop at him. I think it's very, very clear from those quotes below me that he's actually arguably defending him. But I wish he hadn't said it, because it just feeds those Ronaldo haters a way of spinning that to Ronaldo's the problem. Ronaldo's the problem. But ultimately, I think what Rangnick's really saying is that we could never play the way I wanted to play. When your best player can't press, imagine my problems. I mean, realistically, Rangnick never says anything without it having a deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning there is that Ronaldo's been great for us this season and he will win Player of the Year. But he doesn't press. And if your greatest player in the team doesn't press, imagine the problems you've got when your crap players won't do it. That's the message there that probably most of the media and most of the football fans haven't realised what he's saying. There's always a deeper meaning with Rangnick. And what he's basically saying is, my best player, that's been our best outfield player, doesn't press. That's not his game. So if my best player doesn't press, imagine the problems I've got with the players that aren't playing well and don't press. Because Bruno doesn't know how to press. Rashford doesn't press. Most of that team doesn't know how to press, and they've been crap as well. So I think that's the message there. And he actually confirms it with his next one. We had to make some compromises at one stage. Maybe we made a few too many. We never found the right balance between what do we need with the ball and without the ball. Even in possession of the ball, we didn't create as many chances as we should have done. And I think that's just an admission from Rangnick that it's been a complete and utter mess. It has been a complete and utter mess. James, Plumbing and Drainage, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. Mark, who gave the info about Ronaldo not playing, says Reba. Oh, Reba, okay, yeah. Let me just tell Reba that the person who gave me the information on Ronaldo was Swivel on it. I'm not telling you that. I'll always tell you information, but that's not how things work. I'll never get information again if I say that. So I'm not as if I'm going to tell you that. Why don't you go to the journalists who've been covering Manchester United this year, who have definitely got leaks in the dressing room, and ask them who the leaks are? They won't tell you. Luckhurst in Manchester Evening News was on his podcast saying, I know the two players who were fighting last week, but I'm not telling you because of legal reasons. So, that's not how it works. If you want good information, you don't reveal your sources. Simple as that. So yeah, look, I think in relation to Rangnick as we approach the end of this season, he's been a breath of fresh air in relation to his honesty, but obviously it's a season I want to forget. When it hits 6 o'clock today, I want to get my match reaction done, and I'll probably treat myself to a fizzy lemonade in the garden, because I'll just be happy it's over. Unless Liverpool have won the title and we're in the Conference League, there'll be no happiness. It will just be, I'll feel worse than I have all season. So I am quite nervous about what's to come today, and yeah, you sort of feel that you're on the verge of another meltdown because you don't think things could get any worse, but yes, they could. And there's just so many things that I'm going to say now and I don't want to say again. If the worst happens today and Liverpool manage to win the league, my mind will wander back to that performance at Old Trafford where we got absolutely slaughtered by them in front of our own fans at Old Trafford, and we lost 5-0 to them under Solskjaer, and the club decided to stick with him for a few more weeks. Look, you can thoroughly dissect where this season's gone wrong, and you could write a whole book on it, or you can just say it's been an absolute shambles from start to finish, and nobody comes out of this season with any credibility apart from maybe Cristiano Ronaldo, David De Gea. And look, I've enjoyed Rangnick, but it has been a failure as well. So it has been a complete failure. We need to draw a line under it, and people within that club need to find out the issues so that they don't happen again, because some of those problems are going to be very difficult to stop from happening again. There are players in that football club who are completely focused on themselves. They live in a room without mirrors. They're blame shifters. They've got people around them who are only interested in them and not Manchester United. They will leak. They will spread. They will be toxic. They will down tools. And some of those players are going to be here next year. And how you deal with them, people don't change their character. If I'm one of these players who's going to be here next year and I've spent all season deflecting blame, blaming other people, leaking information, downing tools, oh, there's a new manager, I've got a smile on my face. Give me 3 months and I'll be back doing it again. So this is the problem United need to solve. There's so many problems to solve in that club. You moan about people like Ed Woodward, he's not there anymore. Matt Judge isn't there anymore. There's a real opportunity for change in the football structure, the management, the coaching. But in the playing staff, they're the ones who go and represent us every week, and they're the ones who've let us down. I know a lot of those players are going to be out of the club, but some of them are staying behind, and they're the ones we've got to watch out for next season. Is removing existing players important, or getting in more players, like getting rid of bad apples, important, or getting new bright red? Well, no, Nikhil, if you put bright red apples in a bowl of rotten apples, they will rot the bright red apples. And this has been the problem at United for a long time. I remember one of our moderators, Paul Robinson, saying this: how long before Bruno becomes rotten like the others? How many times do we bring a new signing into United? You drop that bright, shiny red apple in the bowl of rotten apples, and for a bit, they're fresh and they're exciting. But then the rot starts to set in and they become rotten like that. Bruno's a good example of that, but there's loads of other players. The best thing to do is empty the bowl of rotten apples, get a bit of fairy liquid in, hot water, give it a good scrub, get your tea towel, dry it, leave it to dry in the sun. It's completely dry, there's no bacteria in there. You buy your red fresh apples, you drop them in, everything's fresh, there's no rotten apple in there. But unfortunately, we will be taking rotten apples into next season. Maybe not as many, but there will be a lot. And, can you make a rotten apple fresh again? That's the challenge. Or do you just chuck them out? Mark, you never shout my name out, man. I'm here from Van Hal days. My name's Rohan, and I changed it on Google for Rath. Maybe you forgot, mate. Rath Ronnie. There you go. He's been here 13 months. Thanks, mate. And welcome to Members Club Tech. And been a member for 13 months. I appreciate the night stand. It's part of my daily routine. Thank you for all your work. Roll on next season, says Jordan White. Thank you to the members there. Okay, so we've got Adam's little road trip, his final one, coming up at lunchtime, and I will be live at 3 o'clock for final day. I am nervous. Surely Man City won't mess this up, and surely United can get a result. It's going to be exciting. Make sure you tune in from 3 o'clock. kick off at 4 o'clock. Let's bring it on. Thanks for watching. Smash a like on the video and I'll speak to you all in a little bit. And make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Big summer coming up.